What's going on, guys? Bart here with Tully Television. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope that we can earn that subscription today. I hope that you remember how awesome and amazing all of you are. And if you're going through a hard day, let this help you out. If you're having a great day, let this entertain you as well. Because here, I want to entertain and make everyone's day better, no matter what you're facing. Today, we're going to be getting into a comic book review. I know I've been doing a lot of these lately, but it's been, again, the whole reason why I started this channel in the first place. I am going to be dropping some Stranger Things videos for the season that was released near the end of last year, which is only a couple weeks ago at the time of this recording. Just time constraints in life, you know how it is, the holidays and everything. But that's coming to you shortly. But we're getting into Excalibur issue 2. That's right. We're done with the Uncanny X-Men run for the moment. We're getting into an old school comic book title. Of course, entitled Excalibur. Now, even though I liked the first cover, it's been my favorite cover of comics for a long time. Not the most favorite, but I think it's always been a cover I've liked. Here's the back cover they did. The last issue is the Phoenix. I'm pretty sure I showed that. And here's now Kitty Pryde and Lockheed, her dragon. Now, I forget if they continued doing this for the whole series or if they stopped it at some point. At this point, I don't remember that too much. Of course, written by Chris Claremont, the legend, Alan Davis, and Paul Neary as penciler and inker, respectively. Yes, they also did the cover. So, if you remember last episode issue, whatever you want to call it, I don't know why I always call them episodes. We came across the Warwolves, right? They're from the Mojo universe, and they have had a prior connection to Captain Britain, but when they appeared here in this dimension, reality, what have you. They were attracted to Rachel Summers and wanting to gain her power, so to speak, gain her sentience and feed on her. But Kitty Pryde, being the technical whiz that she is, and realizes that there was something about Rachel Summers' connection to them, she decided, because when they take over a body, the Warwolves, right? In the first issue, Phoenix can feel that. So with Kitty realizing she can feel that presence of them taking over her body, she assumes that there's some sort of connection between them. So she goes out dressed as Rachel Summers in the hopes that she can find the Warwolves. And unfortunately for her, she did find them, and they dragged her back to their hideout. They dragged her back to their hideout. And now the team is realizing that, in a sense, and is now on their way to try to save her, where they go to the last spot that she was at. That's where we're at right now. The Warwolves, I did a little bit more research on them, okay, to kind of really understand how, without flaying and I know that, I don't even know if that's even allowed to be said without it getting some sort of shadow ban on YouTube. But they can't show someone getting flayed on, I'm assuming back on here. And probably in modern TV, it's probably a little bit like, and if you don't know what that is, that means like taking our skin and kind of just taking the skin off of someone. You know, kids were probably, I was reading this and I was a kid at the time, so if I seen that imagery, And I, because I didn't know what that meant back then, probably, but I always wondered, like, what happens to the body um, when they take over a body. They bond with the body from the inside out on a molecular and biomechanical bonding process. Okay, that's how that works. That's how they're able to uh, take over the body. It's a molecular and biomechanical bonding process. But we do pick up with a mutant child on the run at this gateway technology place that we seen last issue, in which Tweedle, whatever his name, dummy, was playing with this mechanical head that seemed to gain sentience. It's called Widget, right? And in here we see again this mutant child being hunted, and these guards really kind of just saying, why can't we? And the kid is needed, right? And it seems like that the kid was able to disappear, and this is the person looking, making people hunt this mutant child. And it seems like that this Widget character can open portals and stuff, help people out and stuff like that. And we're going to see where the child goes. Who knows, right? It seems like they mean this Widget may know where you want to go, right? And that's pretty wild if it can detect through your brain where you would like to go. Maybe they transported that kid somewhere like safe. You know what I mean? Obviously, he helped the child escape. So you're hoping that it's the child is in a better, safer area, right? Here we have the Warwolves. We see their skins that they had taken over last issue, and here's Rachel here. Again, as they go through to go back to their hideout, we see Excalibur here showing up and trying to. This is where they have to really learn how to become a team, because even though they're trying to rescue one of their teammates, now they have to try to figure out how to help the crowd out while still continuing their mission. And who it seems like Captain Burton is trying to be the leader here, but with his lack of interactions up to date between him and Kitty, him and Phoenix, you gotta remember different countries, different culture, so there's a lot to try to work through, right? And sometimes Captain Burton can be a little cocky and arrogant at this time, and it just Rachel and like no one's gonna take no crap from nobody, right? But we have to figure out a plan in order to save Rachel here. Okay, because now they have to, and she's eventually gonna get taken over. Eventually, though, they start realizing that, I forgot, I lost my train of thought there, I'm sorry. The werewolf is trying to take over Kitty as Rachel, but Rachel's now feeling it, and it disrupts the bonding process and makes Kitty be able to escape the hideout. Also, Kurt notices that one of the werewolves, he doesn't know that this is a werewolf, but he's noticing that this cop here is being suspicious and will follow him and realize that this is one of the werewolves, because they're kind of sticking around. One of them is sticking around to kind of see what Excalibur is doing and kind of be a little sneaky snake. A little slippery snake. Okay. Um, Also, we get a return of Courtney. She sees the Phoenix because the Phoenix flew up to the sky to try to search the area for Kitty, right, with her thoughts and stuff. And Courtney starts to realize, and the guy from Issue 1 that was up her butt, finding her to be amazing and everything like that. He's so enthralled with Rachel, and I'm wondering if that will continue in the future episodes here, future issues. I sound like such an old man when I say episodes. But Rachel does discover finally where Rachel is at. She tells the rest of the team there. We see Kurt following this Warwolf in disguise. And Kurt almost gets taken down by him. Watch out, Choo Choo McCoo. I don't even know what that means to you. It's basically, this episode is just basically, and finally we can see Megan transform into a more feral. I always consider her like a Wolfsbane light, a diet Wolfsbane, right? Because Wolfsbane does go full wolf, right? So here it just seems like Megan goes half wolf or whatever like that. Now, what we have here is, I just want to make sure I got going here. Shoo Shoo McDoo. Alright, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I remembered 100%. We do have the Warwolf did wind up consuming Kitty, I guess. I'm mistaken myself. And so she is technically devoured by one of them, but it seems like she's trying to fight through the process here. The team finally does catch up with her and the rest of the Warwolves, and there's a full-on battle that continues until finally Kitty's able to kind of take control a little bit of the Warwolf and kind of like fight through the bonding process. That gives Rachel the opportunity to come in with the distraction to take all of them out. And Rachel here finally is able to get control and peel herself out of the Warwolf there, just through sheer determination and willpower. And that aspect of Kitty will always be prevalent in her character, even through even recent years, to where during the Cocoon era and after the Cocoon era, she became like hardcore, bro. She's not like this, even though she's trying to not be that kid sidekick in this series, like she viewed herself in the X-Men comic books. She's even more not that little girl no more that first joined the X-Men team. She's hardcore, bro. She was an assassin at one point, okay? And she has that ability to separate her emotion from logic and make the hard decisions. So I'm glad that they always made Kitty Pryde like that, because it was such a good character development for her. And I think it starts and stems from the pages of this book, because that was kind of the whole purpose of why she was joining Excalibur in the first place, was to not be who people viewed her as and how she viewed herself. So, whereas Rachel and Kurt were more looking for having a longing of belonging, they want to belong somewhere, because it's very limited as a mutant anyway of how you can connect to people. So for me, it was more Rachel and Kurt trying to find the longing and belonging to a community that the X-Men would give them. And for Kitty Pryde, it was more showing herself and others that she can be just as tough as the X-Men, just as tough as anyone else, just as valuable and viewed as a positive asset to have around in your life, even for a friendship, right? Now, after they captured the Warwolves completely, they decided to have them reside in the London Zoo, okay, where they can be put on display. And supposedly the logic is that they don't like attention, they don't like being viewed, so put them on full display, and people will come and view them, and they can live in constant aggravation of that. To be honest with you, I'm not saying that, go around nilly-willy just killing creatures, but these creatures, these werewolves, they killed human beings. One of them being a cop. Now, I'm not saying that death penalty for every creature, every person, but they killed human beings. You know what I mean? Unnecessary, just because they wanted to basically take control of their skin and eat them and stuff and bond with them. I would not have put them in a London Zoo. I would have put them in with like S.H.I.E.L.D. or something like that. Now, the whole purpose of this book is to have absurd adventures, like magical adventures, mixed in with these absurdity type of. The Warwolves, unless you're really a deep lore, deep connected fan, or a fan of Excalibur, you'll know who they are, but most comic book fans may not know who the Warwolves are. I get that. So that's kind of why it's kind of proving why this book was kind of dealing with real life adventures and real life problems, but kind of like on a like surrealism type of thing, as opposed to say the X-Men fighting the Reavers or the Brotherhood of Mutants. These guys were fighting things that are like supernatural, sci-fi, mythical, magical type of stuff, and with a twang of UK locations and humor and things like that, right? Yeah, I think that this particular issue was pretty fun in an overall sense. I just disagree with how the werewolves should have been treated and punished at the end. I feel like they should have at least been excommunicated from this reality. But maybe by showing compassion, that it can teach these werewolves something about humanity. We don't have to be humans in order to have humanity, so to speak, if we're talking about other species and stuff also that are cognitive like how we are. It's about being good or bad, or understanding the nuances of that. So maybe that's why they did what they did, as opposed to just straight exiling them, or having them cause problems for other people, or having the guilt of murdering a sentient being on your soul when you're trying to be a better person. I guess could be the explanation to that. To me, I would have been a little bit more heavy-handed with these werewolves because of how indiscriminate they were, and how lack of empathy and sympathy that they had for those people. That's my opinions. This does wrap up the first story arc, so to speak. It's a two-parter opening for this series. We'll get into issue 3 in a little while. I'll give some space. I do have the first 4 issues ready here. So I got 2 more reviews to do before I have to start replenishing this series, so to speak, in order to continue to review this. Let me know what you're thinking of the series so far, though. Are you familiar with the series? Have you ever read the series? Have you ever read the newer series that was from the Krakoan era? Let me know all this down below. And until next time, peace.